All right, we are back with another MVP episode of Assembly Line, a minimum viable but most valuable podcast episode, where we're going to be talking about the highlights from last week's TDX 2026 conference. We're going to talk first about how some of the announcements are going to affect how and what you build on the platform. We're also going to discuss how your customers are leveraging your solution. And finally, we're going to talk about how your customers or prospects are finding your solution. So let's jump right into it. First off, uh, what you're going to be building and how you're going to be building has changed a lot based on the announcement of AgentForce Vibes 2.0 and the Salesforce Multi-Framework. So for a long time, folks have been hoping that they could build using open source frameworks such as React directly on the platform. And that's exactly what we're getting with Salesforce Multi-Framework. Now you're not going to be running a React app in a Visualforce page shell, like some may remember from years past, but this is actually running a true React app directly on Salesforce servers. So this is very exciting. It's going to bring in more developers in the ecosystem. It means ISVs are going to be able to expand their search for developers on their team. Folks with a lot of React experience now suddenly are going to be able to bring that to Salesforce projects. And it's not just React. There's also GraphQL is going to be supported directly on the platform. So a lot of good stuff there. AgentForce Vibes 2.0. This is an overhaul of what was announced previously at Dreamforce 2025 with the AgentForce Vibes extension. That extension initially was a fork of a VS Code extension called Climb. And one of the things that I thought held it back the most was that you were forced to use a proprietary model. Klein, the extension that they forked off of, allowed you to choose whatever AI model fit your particular use case the best. When Salesforce forked it, you were forced to use their own proprietary models. Sometimes that was fine. Sometimes that didn't work as well as other models out there. With AgentForce Vibes 2.0, you can actually choose what model works best for you. And I think by default, it comes with Claude Sonnet. But if you wanted to switch to GPT-5, you're free to do so. It also comes with better contextual understanding of the metadata in your org, and sort of acts as a much better harness to give you a Claude Code-like experience when you're building your Salesforce applications. And as I mentioned before, now you can just ask it to create a React app for your UI and then host that on the Salesforce server, and that's going to work just fine thanks to the new multi-framework. The biggest announcement probably that came out of Salesforce that a lot of people left talking about was this headless 360 discussion. And so that is going to affect not just how and what you're building, but it's going to impact how customers actually use your application. You know, a lot of people are talking about API first and how there's discussion of will people be logging into your application. I think the truth is that long term, there's going to be some people in both camps, right? But how should ISVs be thinking about this? I think the main thing is you want to be envisioning a world where the actual outcomes of your solution can be provided in a chat interface like Slack or Claude or some other service that's technically outside of the platform, and your special sauce that's baked into Apex, your flows, etc. All that you've built up, all that IP that your ISV has built up over time. You just want to still leverage that, but the outcomes need to be made available in other interfaces now, not just a user sitting staring at the standard Salesforce UI and using Lightning. Now, perhaps it's someone in a Slack channel and they want to invoke your application in order to get some more information, extract some data from their Salesforce instance. So that's how to think about that. And then the other thing I had mentioned that was a big announcement was how customers or prospects are going to be discovering your solutions and applications. So you've probably heard by now that the AppExchange is officially being renamed to the AgentExchange. This means the same marketplace is going to be showcasing the legacy apps that ISVs have built in years past for Salesforce, right alongside AgentForce ready applications and agents, as well as Slack applications. Um, and it's not just merging the directories, it goes beyond that. So they've revamped the search. If you go to AppExchange today, you'll probably note that as you type in a keyword or phrase, you're going to see some autocomplete suggestions that provide more context to what you're possibly searching on. So this new semantic context-aware search has been brought to the platform. And then another thing that's interesting is your the Agent Exchange agents will be discoverable inside of AgentForce Builder. So I think that is something that ISVs should really be thinking about and focusing on, that um, now admins and builders on the platform can be working directly on their new solution or their new project, and your solution can be surfaced to them right when they're in the middle of that context. They don't have to jump over to the App Exchange anymore and run a search and try and run down a few different options. So I think there's going to be some really interesting work to be done to make sure that your solution is what's surfacing inside of AgentForce Builder in those moments, because anything you can do to reduce friction and onboarding with a prospect is going to lead basically to more deals and more closed sales, right? The other thing that was interesting that's announced related to this is private offers. And so now you're going to be in the partner portal. If you go into your listing, you're going to see the option to enable private offers, so that, say, an enterprise organization or maybe a representative from a regulated industry that needs a very nuanced quote from you is going to be able to request that. You're going to be able to provide that back to them, and they're going to be able to accept. And apparently, they're going to very quickly just have all of their licensing applied to their org for your solution, and it's going to streamline the procurement process for those large enterprise deals that generally involve a lot of back and forth and take away a lot of time from ISVs. So a lot of good stuff announced at TDX in general. A lot of cool stuff about how you're building on the platform, what you're building on the platform, how folks are discovering you and your solution, as well as how prospects are first finding more about your company and your solution. So there you have it. A lot of great announcements at TDX 2026 for builders on the platform and ISVs in general. Looking forward to seeing how folks synthesize all this, bring it into their long-term strategy for their company, and how it changes what they're building. If you think I missed anything, please reach out. I'd love to chat with you. Thanks. Cheers. Happy building.